Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Corner. My name is Josh, and today I'm doing a solo review of the sequel to Joker. I was the only one brave enough on the channel to watch this movie after the early kind of review bombs it got. And I gotta say, I'm gonna start off with my bold claim that this movie is better than what the reviews are saying. Okay? It is not a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think this movie is fallen victim kind of to potential review bombing, maybe just anger of DC fans, since they really haven't been getting a lot of movies that they enjoy. But this movie, in my opinion, is definitely better than 33%. Now, is it amazing? No. Not at all. Okay? I'm going to probably start off with a couple of the things that I like about this movie. Okay? We're going to go with the pros since everybody's constantly talking about the cons about this film. The pros is that Lady Gaga's acting was pretty good in the film. I thought she did a solid job. I enjoyed her character as playing, I think that she did Leigh instead of Harley. I felt like she was intriguing. Everything about her character was interesting and kept me engaged, especially since they were doing a twist on the fact that she was the one manipulating Joker and Arthur instead of the other way around as it normally is. This ends up, of course, being kind of alluding more to the fact of foreshadowing that Arthur is just Arthur and he is not the Joker. At least definitely not the Joker that the DC world knows and loves. He's just Arthur. So I kind of enjoyed that with her twisted character. I also thought her outfits and wardrobe was pretty fun too. When she started doing the makeup and showing up to the courthouse. I love that. I thought it was cool. Shot. Great. Now, as well as going into, I think, the more deeper dive of Arthur as a character. The nice thing about this film is it does at least complete his character arc. And the character arc is that he is a victim of Gotham. He's not the Joker. He doesn't turn into really the Joker that we know. This is a man that is just simply a victim of the insanity that Gotham is. And I really enjoy that. I think this is definitely a conflicting part or view from many, that this is how they decided to end Arthur's story, is that he's not the Joker, and that it's more showing that this is just more a man that suffers from intense mental illness, and because of how Gotham is, he was able to achieve the horrors that he did, as well as at the same time being a victim of the same horrors that both he caused and has received. I think that's fun. I think we knew that, hey man, these two Joker films are not about the Joker we mainly know. This is kind of almost a realistic twist on telling the story of Joker. It's not connected to a universe. It's not connected to any other films, which makes it totally good and fine in my eyes that they decide to have this kind of bold choice of making a movie of the Joker persona versus the actual Joker. I think it works. I think it's fun. And I think that is the strongest part about this movie is the plot. Of course, the strongest weakness is the musicals, but I'm still talking about the pros. I do like when at least finally when you go in the musical, when Arthur is feeling conflicted with Harley because the therapist is telling him that she lied to you, bro. You're being played. And the therapist is basically, once again, we're kind of seeing just one of the few allies that Arthur actually has, but because he's so damaged from everyone that's been around him and everyone's just fucking assholes to this guy, that he can't actually even take good advice from people that truly have the best intentions for him, because he can't even trust that anyone could have best intentions for him unless he's falsely in love. Which, we saw in the first one where Sophie wasn't even real. their relationship. And of course, that continues when he starts breaking again into Joker persona. Um, Anyways, I like how they did it just a little bit. They definitely needed to do it way more. And I think if they made all the musicals more entwined with Arthur's emotional and mental state, the musical part of this film could have been so much better. But instead, it really kind of suffered from the fact that it just felt random. And the ones that actually did intertwine, then it felt nice. Obviously, I think my favorite is you have the courtroom where he goes full Joker mode. That's so fun. He just fucking bashes the judge's face in. That was nice. And then also when he feels conflicted of the Joker Arthur persona, that Harley shoots him. And he's like, oh shit. What the fuck just happened? Why did you do that? I'm finally at the top of my game. And also he kind of starts pushing back on her, but only could do that in the dream, while in reality he's so soft-spoken when he actually pushing as Arthur again, as we've seen plenty of times, both the first one and the second film. Those were great. Another thing that was great is actually kind of the debriefings of the therapists when it comes to Joker and Arthur, and also the small things of them kind of playing that story that it is a persona, and this is still Arthur and the Joker are not the same. More foreshadowing for the ending that, hey, he's just a man, a victim, citizen of Gotham. He is not the Joker. He's not the Joker. He just did bad things and has suffered for it. The therapist, I thought, was nice of how seeing kind of at least like an ally with Arthur, but also it kind of starts in the beginning when the cops the guards said that, he hasn't been saying jokes much recently. And alluding to the fact that Arthur actually managed to split the Joker persona completely off of him, and he was just Arthur for a while. Because they said that's what kind of he was meaning with the jokes. That he hasn't been making these kind of weird jokes. He isn't trying to do the, bring joy to the world like his mom has just bashed into him. He's breaking free and becoming, himself, of who he's forming himself anyways. And then the interviewer comes in and Harley comes in and you start seeing the cracks. You start seeing the pushback. You start seeing, he's seeing that he's getting an audience, that he's getting supporters, and he's getting that thrill again of feeling like he's important, feeling like he's somebody because of the Joker persona. And it has that slow build through the film. And I really liked it. I liked the plot. I liked the storyline. I think if they landed the musical parts or just didn't do a musical, because Lady Gaga's acting was perfectly great for the role of Harley, regardless of the singing or anything, she would have been a good cast for this role. It could have been a hit. I really think this could have been a hit. But let's get into the cons. The musicals. The repeating of let's go to the mountain, or let's build a mountain. I was over it. I mean, it felt like they're like, oh man, we got one song. Oh, this is a banger. Let's just keep fucking doing it over and over again. It felt like they sung it like 3 or 5 times. I was over it. I was tired of hearing it. Especially because, you got Lady Gaga. And you barely in this film even showed her musical ability. There was only one time in this entire movie where it's like, yeah, man, you actually got a musician to play in a musical. For the most part, they're letting Joaquin Phoenix outshine Lady Gaga. It was like they were restricting her, man. It was like she was on load management for some fucking reason. Absolutely hated that, and it annoyed me. It actually annoyed me, and it took me out of the film. So it just kind of reinforced that initial critique going into this film that a lot of people probably went into this and they're like, man, fuck this film for making a musical, is the fact that you didn't even do the musical right. So I can see why it's getting so much hate. I can see why it's getting review bombed, because man, how did you fuck it up that bad with the musical part? What was the point of doing it? really. That's a question that doesn't really get answered. I don't know. Otherwise, more of the kind of cons is that it did take a bit to really get into the breaking of Arthur. I will have to say, like, the first 15 minutes to, I'd say 15 to 30 minutes, I was starting to get concerned about the film. It was definitely a very slow build up. And the fact, I think it didn't help that I also was one of the people going into this worried that I'm really not going to like the film, even though I loved the first one. So that didn't really help because it's just all about the courtroom. And it's so different from the previous where you're exploring Gotham, you're exploring the many other locations. It's spread out. While this is all just the jail and the courtroom. That's it. And it kind of limits the film. It really does. It makes it feel small in a way. And it definitely hurts it, then improves it. But they kind of had some fun with it finally at the end. With dealing with Arthur coming in when he finally breaks out and he's like, I'm just a Joker. And he takes it over and he starts defending himself. That was fun. I love that. And him interviewing Gary, phenomenal. I mean, this was the peak of the movie for sure. Gary coming in there, actor playing Gary, phenomenal job. I think it was fun that they brought him in because that scene was so good in the first one. I saw the Joker twice in theaters just because of that scene where he spares Gary's life and how intense it was. The theater was always stunned at that moment, gasping. And I remember just looking around to see everyone's reaction to it because I just loved how great they captured the intensity on the screen for that whole movie of just the rage and anger of Arthur. So the fact that now we got the Joker interviewing him, I loved it. And now we're kind of seeing really the point of the storyline where all the plot is leading, of the split personalities of, is it a split persona or is it just Arthur playing a character? And Gary breaks it. You see Joker go so confident till when Gary says, basically, you're the only one that was nice to me, man. And Arthur realizes Gary has gone through just as much almost shit, it feels like. And Arthur kind of feels that compassion for him of acknowledging the fact that Gary got treated like shit. Everyone saw him as small and weak, didn't give a damn about him. But he didn't kill anybody. He didn't do all the fuck up shit that Arthur did. And instead, Arthur, in his revenge quest of trying to be powerful, this fake thing that he really is not, caused trauma to a person that he did not want to cause trauma to. And instead, he almost became the bully that he was killing and fighting against. And it hurts. It hits him to the core, and he cracks. And Joaquin Phoenix, such a great job with the scene of portraying that crack, of just staying in character of kind of the weak Arthur and going from a confident Joker. It's just, I think he does such a good job with playing a non-confident character, trying to be a confident character. The acting of that he's a talented actor. So that scene, of course, takes it away. That was fun. They also brought Sophie back to kind of try to do the difference of, who was he? Was this man really a threat to you? I thought that was cool of connecting the two films. And I know everyone's making jokes about the guards basically R-wording the Joker out of Joaquin Phoenix. I really don't know if that scene was really too much necessary, because they're definitely trying to portray more of what took the Joker, what the final straw was the fact that he got Ricky, I believe his name, his kind of like companion that he was like leading, his almost pet, killed by the guards. That's when he breaks. That's the final moment of the Joker's dead. It's gone. it is Arthur now, and he sees the consequences of his actions and no longer the actions of his bullies. His actions. And that, I think, was strong. I will say, yeah, the scene with the cops, I don't know. It kind of just was trying to be intense for no reason. I definitely didn't think it was needed. I think maybe just a normal just beating of Arthur would have been enough. Because it kind of distracted from the point of what it felt like they're trying to portray more, is that the death of Ricky and seeing another consequence of Arthur's actions. You know, he's the reason Ricky died. You know, I know the cops killed him, but if it wasn't for Arthur, he would still be alive. So then going into, obviously, the final, him defending and him just announcing that, yeah, I did those things. It was me. I'm not the Joker. I loved it. What a twist, you know? I mean, it's starting to build up that the Joker's back, you know, because you just had that intense musical scene, which were one of the few good ones, of him just bashing the Joker's head in, and it's like, the Joker's here. And no, he's not the Joker. He's not. Love that. Of course, then Harley leaves in rage, and, you know, I don't know if it was trying to say, you know, she shoots herself and it kind of loses, oh, did she or did she not? Because she disappeared at the one part of when he's going up the stairs, but then she's obviously back. So it's back to Arthur maybe having his illusions again because he's scared that he just lost a girl and he has that trouble with women. But her just singing the song while he's trying to win her back was another nice touch of the musical aspects. And yeah, and for it to end of him dying, the final part where everyone is probably having an opinion about is this the most famous Joker? He dies, of course, in the end by another cellmate that stabs him and then starts putting scars on him. I think it was okay. I think it was cool. Not a big deal. If you're really connecting this to like the Christian Bale and Batman, you're just doing too much. I think they're just trying to have fun with it. I really didn't think it was that big of a deal. I really did not. I think it was cool. I like the ending that Arthur just finishes as a victim and he dies by somebody else. And that's going to probably, you know, obviously alluding that this is the actual Joker, an actual just insane man that's not having a split persona. Yeah. I think that's okay. Overall, though, with everything said, I didn't hate the movie. I did not. I think it's crazy this is a 33%. I also am very surprised that the critics hated it so much. But with that being said, though, you know, I didn't love it. I think it's fair to critique this film, but to say that it is so bad that you're going to give it well below 50, I think is crazy. In my opinion, this is a 4.6 out of 10. And I think it definitely has issues with the musical, but it does have plenty of parts of it where you can watch this film and enjoy it a bit. That's why I kind of give it where it's just under that 50%, just under 500. It's okay. It definitely missed the mark, but way overhated. But that'll be it for it, guys. Please let me know your opinions on this. Obviously, I know there's a lot of hate around this movie, so yeah, just tell me why you hate it if you do, or if you actually agree with me on the positive parts of the film. We're really liking the plot. Love to hear that. But thank you, guys.